Good evening. We bring you the latest in the world of sports. I'm Paulo Del Rosario.
And we give you the conversations you want to hear from your favorite sports icons and athletes. I'm Boom Gonzalez. In tonight's game plan, we'll talk about the NBA Finals. But first, we will also later on, by the way, hear from the fresh faces of F2 in the PVL a little later after that.
Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game. Well, Game 4 is coming up quick, and everyone has their own opinion on how things should have went for the team that they are rooting for. Now, lucky for us, we have a couple of experts in the field who can tell us their opinion on adjustments, breakdowns, and predictions for the next game of the series. We are joined by basketball analyst Coach Charles Chu and Coach Mark Molina from the same generation, I believe.
May fashion comments then.
I hope
so. All right, so let's start off first with how the Denver Nuggets actually got that Game 3. Very impressive, especially in that second half. Coach Mark, your thoughts on it, because they really tightened up defensively. That was a main issue for Denver in Game 2 and that fourth quarter storm as well.
Exactly. They had too many lapses in the fourth quarter of game number 2, which they cleaned up in game number 3. And part of it was changing some of their personnel, because you saw, what's his name, Bruce Brown.
Right.
And the other Brown,
Christian
Brown,
yeah.
playing a lot of minutes in the fourth quarter. All of the points of Christian, he had, I think, 15 points. To me, that was bonus. But he was more active on defense as compared to what KCP and MPJ did. So they got their time in the fourth quarter. There were fewer defensive lapses for Denver with the two of them there. In fact, he was even switching onto Butler quite effectively in that fourth quarter. So a little tweak there by Mike Malone in putting in fresh legs in the fourth quarter, I think did the trick there for Denver, because they really lost game number 2 because of those lapses against the shooters of Miami.
Well, actually, Coach Charles, when you think about it, Denver lost the fourth quarter of games 1 and 2, diba? Because as you saw in the stat, Miami was plus 90 in the playoffs in terms of fourth quarter scoring. So they got called out by Coach Mike Malone before game number 2, and they responded. And the two big stars responded big with a historic number. With historic numbers, those two stars, Murray and Jokic.
You know, it was really interesting when you saw what the Heat tried to do to Murray. Actually, they were almost trapping him, hard showing him, and he still put up those numbers, which is ridiculous. And you know, I just thought the timing of everything was just great. Coach Malone challenged them to be more aggressive in the first half. Murray had 20 points. And in the third quarter, when the Nuggets when the Nuggets pulled away, it was really Jokic, it was his turn to score. And you know, I think those two guys have been just clear. I mean, clearly they are the best players of Denver. So I would think that maybe the Heat would want the other guys to beat them. Michael Porter can't hit a shot right now. Obviously, he's a great shooter.
What's going on with PJ?
Aaron Gordon doesn't want to take threes. I know he made 2 in Game 2, but in Game 3 he didn't take a shot. So, you know, I'm thinking maybe the Heat would just dare all the other guys to beat them. I know Christian Braun did really good. I love the way he played. But before that, he had 0 points the entire Lakers series. He played 3 games. He's playing so hard, as Coach Mark is saying. But you know, I tried to let the other guys beat them. You know, we know what KCP can do. He can hit shots, but he also hasn't been playing that well. So I mean,
especially on defense, he had some major fouls in game number 2 that gave Miami life in that fourth quarter because of those 3-point fouls that he has made. So, Coach Mark, Denver, they say the first 2 games did not play well and yet split 1-1. Game 3 winner, if the series is tied 1-1, 80% of the time they win the series. That was a pivotal game number 3. They know that Miami's going to come out in game number 4 because, you know, desperation. What are you going to look out for if you're Denver?
Well, as Coach Charles mentioned, let the other people beat you. Not Murray and Jokic.
Oh,
but what Mike Malone did in game number 3, he went a lot on the Jokic Murray pick and roll.
Correct.
So that it's because it's very hard to defend that. If you jump out on Murray, then Jokic will get his shots. That's why Murray had 10 assists in game number 3. 42 times Murray was on pick and roll situations in game 3 compared to just 30 the first 2 games. So that was really a concerted effort on Mike Malone to have Murray running the offense with Jokic as the screener. So he really wanted to do that two-man, 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 so that the others are not that involved. Because you want to live and die with those two guys, and in Game 3, that's exactly what happened. I mean, triple-double for those
For both of them.
Yeah, and an average of 32 screens in games 1 and 2, just to get the number right. And of course, 42, as you mentioned there, for Murray in Game 3 in terms of ball screens with Nikola Jokic. You take a look at the fact that there were 2 triple-double games. That means a lot of rebounding went the way of the Denver Nuggets. Unfortunately for Miami, the effort wasn't really there. You take a look at the rebounding battle between the two. 58 for Denver, only 33 for Miami. It's practically the numbers combined of Murray and Jokic. Charles, you mentioned this as one of the key points here for Miami if they want to get back in the series.
You know, I like what one of the NBA analysts, I think it was Jeff Van Gundy, he was saying, you know, people are looking for all sorts of adjustments, but sometimes when you say effort, putting in more effort, that's the biggest adjustment. And I think Miami were outplayed. Jimmy Butler said it himself. They can't come out with that type of energy against Denver. You can't be minus 25 on the glass against Denver and expect to win, right? I mean, when you rebound, you get the possession. You either get another chance to score or you get a chance to run. But it's also connected to defending. Look, the interesting thing for me is look at the three-point shooting. Miami has outshot Denver in every game. At least they've made more three-pointers. But the only game they won is where they hit close to 50% from three. Everything else has been at the 30%. But so that's not necessarily the issue. I think the problem is finding a way to stop Denver. I mean, Denver's shooting like 50% from the field. And secondly, I think the bigger issue for the Heat is how to score. I mean, the games in the 90s, they're not going to beat Denver like that.
That's always been their issue.
Yes.
The regular season, that was the issue. They kind of cured it a little bit, during the first round, second round, and obviously in the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, Miami has always been the record all throughout the playoffs is they've been the better team. They're not the talented team against New York, against Boston, against Milwaukee, and the same with Denver. But the others didn't show up. What do you expect with the Calebs, with the Gabe Vincent, with the Duncan Robinsons, and all of the other guys, Coach Mark?
They just need to make shots. They did it in Game 2, especially early in the game. Because if they make their shots early in the game, it allows Butler to be not as aggressive on the offensive end when they're hitting their shots, which keeps him fresh to make plays in the fourth quarter. If they don't make shots early, then Butler, the load on Butler offensively becomes bigger for the entire game. And Butler, I don't think he can sustain attacking this Denver defense for the entire game. That's why the other guys like Duncan Robinson, they need to make shots. In the fourth quarter
Cruz obviously,
of Game 3, they were even running some offense with Kyle Lowry, which they didn't really do in the previous series because they were trying to search for different answers on the offensive end. And it wasn't just there in Game 3.
Actually, I actually agree with Coach Mark there. You know, and there was a stretch in Game 2. They were running a little pin down for Duncan Robinson. He got baskets off it. He got somebody open. So it's like finding a creativity for Miami to give different looks because they keep trying to hunt for Murray and KCP with Jimmy Butler. And, you know, it is tiring also and it wears them down. It's more predictable, but when they're moving constantly, you know, they're a bit tougher to guard.
You know, the Denver Nuggets, a lot of people are going to say that they need to basically play how they did in the last game if they want to get over the Miami Heat. Right now, Charles, we talked about the rebounding. We talked about trying to get the guys open here for the other shooters of the Miami Heat, apart from Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler. But what do you think is going to be the biggest point for the Miami Heat to try and even the series against the Denver Nuggets?
Well, number one, they need to stop the Jokic-Murray pick and roll that Coach Mark was talking about. That's key. And then again, they have to find ways to score and get guys to step up. Look, Martin's had 8 points in one stretch, 8 in a row, but the rest of the game he was quiet. All these other guys need to hit shots and make plays because the Nuggets can focus on Bam and Jimmy, and it's not going to be enough.
2 seconds. Who wins tomorrow, Coach Mark?
Miami.
Who wins tomorrow, Coach
Denver.
Charles?
Para may iba.
Denver. All right, there you go.
That's not convincing.
We had to get it. We had to get it from them.
We did.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much for being here. And after the break, we'll now talk to the new faces of the F2 Logistics. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game. SEA Games, now back as champions. At tinanong namin sila, what's next? They couldn't give us an answer. 3 weeks after, they're here wearing the F2 Logistics shirts. And then may tangan-tangan pa na FU standout. Jov, we will start with you. Kailangan namin malaman yung connection muna. Okay? Hindi natin i-question yung talent. Paano ka napunta sa F2? That's not. But what was the connection? Paano nagsimula yung conversation na mapunta ka sa F2?
Yung unang-una po, kinausap po ako ni Coach Tina na, Jov, try mo munang mag-club. And siya po nagsabi na ini-invite po ako ng F2. And mag-close po sila ni Coach Tina and Coach Reg. And ayun po, doon po ako na-invite.
And syempre, you left with 3 years of eligibility left in the UAAP, if I'm not mistaken. And alam ko, malaking decision yun eh, to going to forgo it. Ano yung thought process mo before you ended up joining F2?
Syempre, gusto ko feel ko kaya kong mas yung bigger responsibility sa akin. Gusto, ito yung parang bagong challenge sa akin na mag-step up pa lalo. And yun lang.
Okay. Let's go to both Jolina and Mars. Coming fresh from your championship, nakapag-detox na kayo ng konti, decompress na ng konti. I wanna find out, because a lot of people will say, oh, wala masyadong adjustment yan kasi F2, di ba? Coach Ramil, Coach Regine. Can you talk about that first? Meron pa ring adjustment kasi now you're turning pro and you're rookies now dito sa team. Mars, ikaw muna.
For me, syempre meron talagang adjustment kasi given na galing kaming college and turning to pro, iba talaga yung galawan sa pro league eh. Mas veterano yung mga naglalaro. Pero with the guidance of our ates and Coach Reg, Coach Ramil, for sure naman kakayanin namin sa pro league.
Jolina?
Same with Mars lang na UAAP is a different league. Professional league is a different league. Siguro malaki din yung adjustment namin ni Marion kasi knowing na yung mga nasa F2, sobrang alam natin na marami nang narating yung mga ates doon eh. So parang kami, since galing din kami sa championship, parang ano rin namin na yung goal din namin is yung may ma-contribute kami sa kanila.
So, parang starting from the bottom ulit, ano? Yung parang rookie feeling. Nagkaroon kaya ng ibang chance ang ibang team pa?
Well, I don't know kung gano'n talaga.
Mars, Jolina, nagkaroon ba ang chance ang ibang team o talaga it was an F2 thing?
Actually, may mga nagka-interest din sa amin.
I'm sure.
From other team. Pinakinggan naman namin yung plans nila and sobrang thankful namin kasi naglatag sila ng mga ganong plano eh. Knowing na ang dami, yung mga teams na yon, marami na rin ngang narating. And ayun, siguro mahirap din talaga sa part namin na mag-decide kasi parang we had 2 weeks lang to decide. Diba? Sobrang hirap no na parang coming from championship tapos hindi naman namin siya iniisip na buong UAAP na saan ba kami magpo-pro.
Kasi focus ka sa finals.
So mahirap talaga siya kasi 2 weeks lang na nag-isip kami. Sobrang gulo talaga.
Yeah, no?
Mars, pa-describe naman yung 2 weeks na yan.
Very stressful. Hindi talaga kami nakatulog kasi yung decision na gagawin namin, very big talaga. So, parang work na rin yun eh. Kailangan talagang pag-isipan ng...
Well, yeah. Speaking of palaisipan, mahirap umalis ng UAP, ano? Dahil lagi yung usapan, no? The UAP, it comes so fast, kailangan mo enjoy, but now you're a pro. Jove, what does a pro mean to you going now into F2? What does a professional mean to you pagka tinanong ka ng ganyan?
Sa akin po, pag nag-pro ka, dapat andun na talaga yung... Andun na lahat, o parang i-ano mo na lang, i-ano mo yung sarili mo sa loob ng court. Andyan sila, Coach Reg. Pero andun na yung skills eh, pero dapat pakinggan mo yung sistema ng team, kung ano yung gusto nilang gawin para sa'yo. Yun po sa akin.
Alright, and Jolina, yung na-mention mo kanina, well, we all know that Lasal and F2 have a bit of a connection. In fact, may have trained against each other, with each other, amongst each other. Pero knowing that, okay, you're gonna be suiting up for F2, feeling mo ba na rookie ka ulit in that entire camp? Or feeling mo na skip mo na yung phase na yun, yung awkward rookie phase na kailangan mo na, to exert more effort siguro, kumbaga sa iba?
Siguro meron ng konti kasi parang bago ka sa team so parang bago sa'yo lahat. Unlike nung nandun kami sa UAP, like sa Lasal, di ba kami nagpapatakbo ng team dito and ito yung comfort zone namin So lumabas na kami doon. Iba na to. Ganun yung feeling namin na nag-a-adjust pa rin kami now and willing naman kami to learn.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
And it's an exciting thing.
Absolutely.
Mark, speaking of excitement, ang daming moves sa PVL. Across the board. Sa dami-dami ng teams, ang daming recruitment, daming lipatan, daming explosive announcements. Does that contribute to the excitement for you to be part of F2 now? Dahil pati yung mga kalaban nyo, kumbaga, nag-suit up din, di ba?
Siyempre, very exciting sa amin kasi given nga na rookies kami, kakapasok lang namin sa F2. Exciting siya kasi yung mga kabatch namin sa UAP, makakalaban din ulit namin pero sa Pro League na.
And of course, Jove, when you take a look at yung competition nyo, is there any player that you haven't played before because hindi nyo kabatch or hindi nyo naabot sa UAP? Is there any player in particular you cannot wait to play against?
Ay, naman po. Actually, lahat naman po ng teams, pero yung isang team po na gusto kong kalaban, yung mga ate ko, yung nasa Signal ngayon. Sila Ate Chel.
Okay. Quick answer, Jolina and Mars, yung inidolo nyo na ngayon nandyan na sa F2, established na. Obviously, nandyan si Kim. Obviously, nandyan sila KKD.
Yeah.
Meron bang ibang inidolo si Jolina at si Mars dyan sa current team ng F2 na dating taga Lasal?
Siguro si Ate Abby kasi kitang-kita talaga sa kanya yung leadership, kung paano niya i-lead kami. Kitang-kita yung fighting spirit talaga.
Okay.
Trademark na niya nga yun, Jolina?
Actually, ako po, I idolize everyone. Pero especially Ate Ara and Ate Abby. Lalo na nagte-training na rin kami, nakikita namin yung kung paano nila patakboyin yung team. And nag-enjoy talaga kami ni Marion. And
Yeah.
Good answers, good answers.
Exciting! Exciting. It's going to be exciting times.
Really excited to see what F2 can do this year in particular with all three of you. And to maraming salamat and good luck in the upcoming season. So, after the break, we'll get some exclusive updates from the home court of the Miami Heat. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game. back to the game. Right after the Denver Nuggets stunned the Miami Heat crowd in Game 3 of the NBA Finals, the next showdown between masterminds Mike Malone and Eric Spoelstra was already in motion. NBA Finals correspondent Denise Tan gives us a behind-the-scenes look from Miami, Florida.
The Miami Heat failed to defend home as they bowed down to Denver 109-94. Coach Eric Spoelstra was first quick to acknowledge the contribution of both Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, who had both triple-doubles in Game 3.
Yeah, it's a great duo. You know, their games really complement each other. You have to expect that, not losing the battles. You have to expect there to be elite talent in the finals, and both those guys are elite level talent.
Nuggets head coach Michael Malone was evidently happy while talking about Nikola and Jamal for making history as the first two guys to make 30-10 in an NBA Finals.
I think it's the first time in finals history, or maybe NBA history, that you guys had 30-10 triple-doubles. So that's incredible right there. Regarding Nikola, you know, nothing he does surprises me ever. This guy has shown time and time again that he's built for these moments. He thrives on these moments, the biggest stage, and he did that once again tonight. Jamal, I'm really proud of Jamal. And I could tell, you know, speaking to him yesterday, being around in the last 48 hours, that he was putting a lot of Game 2 on him.
But beside the impressive performances by the two, Spoelstra also believes that the Nuggets took advantage of their size to dominate them on the paint.
You know, they just pummeled us in the paint. They didn't really have to shoot threes. They had whatever 60 in the paint. They probably shot over 65% at the paint at the rim. There wasn't a need to space the floor. We didn't offer much resistance.
Now, there are a lot more factors that came into play in this match, and Spoelstra understands that they have a lot to work on, especially trying to get their old selves back.
You know, I just think sometimes for us, you know, when we lose a lot of those physical battles, you know, the effort plays, the loose balls, the rebounding battles, that's our identity. And sometimes that can affect the flow of the rest of your game.
The Heat have always shown their resilience whenever their backs are against the wall. And now, they have 48 hours to figure it all out. They have to work fast, play smart, and grind it out hard for them to have a chance of tying things up again come Game 4. From Miami, Florida, Denise Tan, reporting for Signal TV.
Meanwhile, the FIBA World Cup is coming to Manila, and nothing beats watching the games live and in person. Buy your single-day pass and get access to 2 live games of the FIBA Basketball World Cup for as low as 999 pesos. Head on to philippines.worldcup.basketball for more information, ticket types, seat information, and other special offers. Be a part of Philippine basketball history and buy your tickets today. Thank you for joining us. Happy weekend. I'm Boom Gonzalez.
And I'm Paulo Del Rosario. This has been The Game.